every writer writes through their own prism. And do we mistake serendipity with genius? Those are two questions that I just got from Hugh Henry, and I'm listening to his podcast. And as much as I find him passé, he's a has-been as far as the fund manager is concerned, but he's definitely a very interesting person. He's a good thinker, and he inspires me. So he actually inspired this whole podcast series. So the purpose of this podcast is to give people a sense of what it feels like to run a hedge fund. And I think one of the most important things is always, always try to go introspect, try to think, okay, what am I doing? Where do I stand? And am I kidding myself? These are tough questions to ask. I'm not saying that I know how to ask them, or I'm even asking them. I think I am. And this particular episode is hopefully a step into that direction. This is the Not Even Wrong podcast. It's March 5th, 2022. This is Krim Delco. It's a Saturday. There's no update. And this is the second episode of today. So we're still up we're down 26.5%. The market's down 9.5%. We're underperforming by 17%. So let me talk a little bit about what Henry said on the podcast, and then introspect. This is an introspection. This is me asking myself, am I just getting lucky? Or is it serendipity? Am I a genius? What am I? Why am I asking this? Orange Capital Partners, as of the last published returns, which is by the end of 2021, has a CAGR, the cumulative average growth rate, of roughly 21% over more than 12 years, which is, I think, by any means, in any standard, Hugh Henry would say that any hedge fund manager would acknowledge that this is absolutely top 1%, even better than top 1% performance. So we are up there. We've done extremely well. Now, why am I asking the question, am I mistaking serendipity for genius? I think it's the wrong question to ask, because I don't consider myself a genius, period. But if I replace the word genius with performer or a good player or something like that, I think that's a more serious question. So is it serendipity, or am I just a good player? Do I know my business? Am I good at what I do? What does Henry mean with that question? He just means that sometimes in the fund world, you are sitting there with a portfolio, and for one reason or the other, it goes up a lot, and you're not even sure why, and it doesn't matter. You got lucky, and you have your returns. Or you are a lot more determined to succeed, and then you succeed. And I think we're the latter. So this is me saying we are not just reaping the fruits of serendipity here. We've been invested in Tesla a way long time ago, and we've gone through years and years of tough times. And we've stuck with it because of our conviction that we worked for, in many ways, through our traditional research, but even more importantly, also through introspection and through going through the motions. Volatility, losing money, having years of negative returns, losing investors, sticking with the guns, going for it. Those are the kinds of things that wealth creators absolutely need to do to generate wealth. There's no other way to create wealth. And I've said many times in this podcast, we have to be a mirror image of our portfolio companies. We can't be different than them. We can't be sitting in sandbars, flipping around stocks and thinking that we can invest in a company like Tesla. It doesn't work like that. We have to have the same lifestyle, the same thinking. We have to put the same amount of work in order to be successful with a company like Tesla. And you can replace Tesla with Amazon, with Microsoft, with any kind of company you think has created a lot of wealth. Apple, for sure. There's not that many out there, but there's some. And I don't think that we've been lucky with serendipity or anything like that. We have actually worked incredibly hard to get here, and I think we're still at the same point. We have no problem being invested in Tesla. Actually, Tesla is a very good example. For example, if you take what is an investment that makes money with serendipity. Henry talks about the Chinese internet stocks. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong, but the argument goes the following way. You invested in Chinese internet stocks. They really don't have superior technology. They don't have superior business models, but they got lucky with the support of the Chinese Communist Party. And once that support is withdrawn, you're basically going to lose money. That's kind of what he says. Now, in that sense, you can say, okay, is Tesla the same way? They just got lucky. Let's say Obama supported green energy, and then it's not the case, because Tesla went through several administrations and actually right now is facing the most hostile administration in the whole life that Tesla has been living since the early 2000s. And it's prevalent. I mean, Tesla is still very successful. In fact, it's even more successful. We have incredibly adversarial events right now in the world with the aggression of Russia against Ukraine. We have a recession coming from the post-COVID world, and we have inflation. So we have a lot of problems, and Tesla still is expected to do extremely well because the products and services that Tesla is instantiating are good. They are good for customers. They're good for the world. Why are they good for customers? The experience of a Tesla is much superior than any other kind of car, and the price you pay, the total cost of ownership, is much lower. So you get more for less. There's not a lot of laws of economics that you can really believe in, but this is one of them. If something is better and less costly, people will buy it. And this is what Tesla in particular is, electric cars in general, but then Tesla within the electric car space also has a lot of positives that other electric car companies cannot match. So that's the first thing I want to say. It is not serendipity. I think we have a concept, we have a framework, we have a principle stack that works towards wealth creation. We could be wrong about the principle stack, but within the context of the principle stack, we are creating wealth. And I said also in one of the most recent episodes, for example, our macro expectations are that the world doesn't blow up, that Musk doesn't get assassinated, things like that. If those things happen, then we could be off. We could be losing money. And this is a problem. And it's a problem for us and our investors. But it doesn't negate that we got lucky or not lucky. We're not getting lucky by Musk not being assassinated. That's the wrong way to look at it. That would just be a black swan that we are aware of, but we're not taking into account. Because if we start investing with those types of black swans taken into account, then we can't invest the way we want to invest. And then we have to change our strategy and so on and so forth. I don't want to go deeper there. I just want to say that the context, the macro context under which we operate is such that we believe that the world is going to change incrementally, not in a sort of nuclear war way or something like that. There could be an attack to a Tesla factory. I think we have that into account. This is part of the risk assessment of Tesla, but nothing worse than that. I think the other quote from Henry, which is every writer writes through their own prism. I think that's also replies to this introspection. We see things through our own prism. Here's a very nice example. This particular week, Rivian had a big turnaround where they screwed up with pricing, then they withdrew, and so on and so forth. And you have two different ways to look at this. One way is, they are a great company with a great product and a great CEO who admits mistakes and does the right thing in the end. Or you could say that Rivian was basically talking up their own book, manipulating the stock price for the IPO by generating fake orders. So you can look at both ways. They're both right. It's a prism that you choose to have, and you can be right on both sides of this situation. And this is how we as investors live. This is our lives. We look at things and we immediately put our prism on. This is The Righteous Mind by John Haidt. This is, we make a decision, the elephant makes a decision, our emotional nervous system, whatever it is, our non-frontal cortex CEO of the brain, that the stuff that happens other than the logical stuff makes a decision, gives us, what Rivian's doing is wrong. And then I'm trying to justify it, or what Rivian's doing is right. The guys at Electric, for example, somehow have turned against Tesla. So whatever happens now, on the Tesla side, it usually has a negative spin, and all the others have a positive spin, and so on and so forth. And that's fine. I'm just saying it happens, and people, this is human, and it applies to us too. When we see things, when I saw the Rivian fiasco, I call it a fiasco, I immediately thought, wow, my gosh, I always knew that this company is not viable. Most other people don't think so. Most fans of Rivian don't think so. And we're both right. I mean, they're still around, but maybe in the long term, I'm really right. I think what we see, and this is just a tangent now, we think that Amazon's going to pull the plug on Rivian because they're not going to be able to profitably make those cars, and it's going to create a lot of havoc, and they're going to have to pivot to something like delivery trucks, something like that, because they can't profitably make the kind of car that they're known for, which is the pickup truck. And this is pre-4680. Once 4680 is launched, and the 4680, if successful, goes at scale, if that type of cell manufacturing, cell architecture actually really goes at scale and can help produce millions of cars, Tesla will crush the competition. and Rivian will have to rethink their strategy. But that's on top of the self-inflicted errors that they're having. And main self-inflicted error is to come to market with a product and manufacturing strategy that is not viable. So to summarize, I think this episode, the purpose of this particular episode was an introspection. Just think back, okay, did we just get lucky through serendipity? Certain things went our way, or certain things, sometimes when we lose money, also go against us, or is there some more structure here? And the answer is yes, there is more structure. We have a principle stack, we believe in certain things, and we follow through, and we stick through even in bad times. But we are also aware of the fact that no matter what, no matter how hard we try, we always see the world through our own prism. And that is something we have to be aware of. That is something we have to work with. And that is hopefully something we can also mitigate by doing these types of episodes, by exposing ourselves to the outside, by having conversations with people of different opinion, and then calibrate our opinion that way. Thank you.